I am your host of Across Generations, Tiffany D. Cross, and this is the only place where you will hear three different perspectives from three distinct generations of Black women, and I'm so thrilled to invite you to this conversation. Hi, everybody. I'm Tiffany Cross, your host of Across the Generations, and welcome to our latest episode. We're going to get into a conversation that's sure to have you talking. So, as you all know, many people have learned through society or by osmosis that the journey to being fulfilled as a woman is through marriage, or really more specifically, men. And there's a reason for this, because during the 19th and 20th century, women were forced for a variety of reasons to really be dependent on their husbands for financial support. So a lot of upper and middle class women, probably white women, their choices were limited to marriage and motherhood or pretty much spinsterhood. But times have changed. Yet still, the pursuit of men in some women is conflated with the pursuit of happiness. And we can come to define ourselves by being the wife of. And I know a lot of you out there listening or watching this, you've all seen this, whether it's at the Jack and Jill outings, your Lynx luncheon, the book club meetings, the company gala, the BTA meetings, or just out with your girls for drinks or at brunch. Now, in my 20s, I worked really, really, really hard. And I mean like hard, 18-hour days were the norm. I was building a career, navigating newsrooms, just in case I never got to navigate packing lunches and running bathwater. But to be honest, a big part of my career building in my life, in my 20s anyway, it always kind of felt like a backup plan. Like, at least I'll always be able to take care of myself. But I don't know, something happened in my mid-30s and things changed a bit, and I became more settled into myself as a woman, and my career stopped feeling like a backup plan, but like something I could really chart and take charge of. And men were certainly always around, but they certainly did not define me or my life. Now, being middle-aged in my mid-40s, it feels like a journey home to myself. And to be completely whole and happy and joyful and fulfilled is really what it's about for me at this point. So it drastically changed my interaction with men. Now, I've dated men who are household names. I've dated men who relish in their anonymity and every kind in between. None of them ever defined me. My light was too bright to dim. But I have definitely been around women who seem to lack self-worth without being attached. So how much of that do we own, and how much of that is on society? And there's nothing wrong, you guys, at all with desiring partnership and prioritizing your union. But how can we encourage younger women to strike that healthy balance? And what are the dangers of letting your relationship define you? With me are two women at very different stages of their life and love. We have Tameka Foster Raymond. She's 53 years old. She's a mother of 5, originally from Oakland, California. She's an American fashion stylist who has worked with as a personal stylist for Lauryn Hill, Jay-Z, Toni Braxton, Ciara, Patti LaBelle, Nas, and of course her ex-husband Usher. She is the author of the book Here I Stand and is currently a cast member of WeTV's Bold and Bougie. Tameka Foster Raymond wants people to acknowledge and know her for who she is and not really who she's been in a relationship with. I can understand that. And then we have Medinah, as in funky cold Medinah Monroe. She's a 35-year-old Dallas, Texas native and currently is half of the Cocktails Dirty Discussion podcast. And cocktails is not spelled how you think. Now, she's been a serial entrepreneur throughout her adulthood and is currently seeking the job title of wife and mother, as she believes those titles matter more than any career. Wow. I think I have to start with you on that.
Oh my God.
Medinah.
Oh,
Wife and mother.
the people are going to be mad. You know, nowadays, I feel like when you say that, people are like, oh my gosh, there's so much more that you can aspire to be. And not that I don't. There's several other things and titles and hats that I want to wear, but I admire mothers. I admire wives. I admire healthy family dynamic.
Yeah.
That's always been in the forefront, in the back front, and in my mind since I was a kid, like playing with baby dolls, seeing how my parents interact with each other, how I interact with my siblings, and just wanting to not recreate that same thing, but almost like family. I'm a diehard family person.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I look at women who have had children, I'm like, that's a gift, bro.
Of course.
That is one of the most important things that, if not the most important thing that a woman can do, and it's beautiful.
Well, let me me just say, I don't think that people will hear that and scoff at that at all. I think there are a lot of people who desire that. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with prioritizing partnership or desiring partnership. I think if other people don't, like, do you think being a wife and mother is the most important title for you? Or do you think it should be for every woman?
Oh, no, I think do what you want to do, sis.
Yeah.
Do whatever you think is important. Do it. For me, I'm not either of those either, by the way. Like I'm not a mom. I am not a wife. But I can't wait to be.
Yeah. You're looking forward to it.
I am looking forward to those things. You know how sometimes you read comments or you have conversations with people and they're like, dang, I became a mom and I feel like now I can't do anything else. Or I just had a friend recently who had a baby and she's trying so hard to get back to what she was. And I'm like, bask in this, like enjoy this right now.
Yeah.
You just gave life, a human life that can nourish on your body. Man, it makes me, I can't wait until I get to experience that. I think it brings out a different side of you.
Well, Tameka, you're a mother of 5. You've certainly been through this. You've had the title of wife and mother. People only know, about your marriage to Usher, but you were married. You had a whole life before him. You were married to somebody else. So you've been a wife twice.
I have.
Do you feel defined by those titles?
Well, now that I'm, divorced from my former husband, it's a little bit of a jail. I don't know. I don't know if it's defined. But while I was in it, it was very special. But I've always been really independent, like as far as working. And so I was never like a stay-at-home mom. I worked all the way until I went into labor with all my kids. Like I never sat down idle. But I don't feel defined by it. No.
Yeah. Well, when you were married, did you feel defined by like being the wife of?
Well, in my second marriage, for sure. Yeah. I mean, he's I was married to an enigma, so to speak. Very popular, everywhere I went. Everywhere.
You were married to a what? I just want to make sure we got that. I thought maybe you might have said something else.
I said you thought that too. Okay. That too. Okay. No, an enigma.
Yes,
he's an enigma. He was a big force. So it was kind of hard, kind of living in the shadow of that.
Yeah,
because everything was kind of about him and what he needed. And that kind of came first. And that's just kind of par for the course because of who I was married to. It was very busy. It was busy. So it was a little different.
Were you able to prepare for that?
Oh, no. No, I was not prepared. I was not ready. And I wasn't ready for the backlash of it because marrying someone like that, especially at that time, I think now that he's older, he can do it and get, all the congratulations he's supposed to have gotten. But when he married me, he was very young and everyone's mad at me like, what? Ripping their posters down like, we hate her. She's ugly. So,
I remember those.
There was a tantrum. There was a tantrum, a massive tantrum that went on in the community, the Black community, to be specific.
Because you stole all our man. That was our man.
That was our man. Exactly. I stole your man. But I mean, he was on loan. Just buy tickets. There was ways you could lease him out for the night.
But that is something though, because your identity, even though you had this career, your identity did become, and I'm curious because you said it's like you're in jail. Like, say more about that. What do you mean?
Well, I say that because, and I know people will say, well, why don't you drop the name? I have children and it's so, I go, my kids go to a really good school. They go to good schools, both of them. And it's kind of, I don't know, kind of ghetto to be up there with 15 names. Like, well, I'm here to pick up such and such, but my name is such and such. I just look, Tameka Raymond, picking up, my boys. And so it's just easier. My passport says it, my credit cards, my bank accounts, everything has been in my marital name. But, so that's to clear that up. Like
that's why you keep the name.
Yeah, I keep the name. It's just so much simpler. But it's slowly going away. Like I have a new book that I'm putting out and I'm just going by my maiden name, which is great. But
So for school, you keep your...
For school
for
and
kids.
for the boys, there's only a couple more years. The boys
let me just say to all the mamas who are picking up kids who have different last names, look,
it's so complicated.
I don't know that I would call that ghetto. We had a president in the White House with not one, not two, but 3 baby mamas in the White House. So I think we have
But guess what? All of his wives kept his name, though.
I don't have the same last name as my mom, and my mom doesn't have the same last name as my dad, and they're married. He converted to Islam, and she was like, "I'm not doing all this changing of the names." Boy. And so she's a Scott. He's
y'all
an Ali,
all the new generation. I'm old school. My grandmother's name was Estella Hatton until she passed. She wasn't with my grandfather, but her 7 children all had the same last name.
Interesting.
So it's kind of, I think it's just a generational thing, and only Black people worry about that. Really, I don't think other people care about it. They just.
I think they probably do.
I don't really.
I don't talk to a lot of
others.
Yeah, so I
don't know if there's any listening. Let us know.
I have friends that are both. You know, I have friends that on both sides of the coin. But I don't think it's a big deal. I think people really, the Black community, he ain't yours no more. Drop the name. You be like, what is a name? It's a name. It's just, do you want to wait at the passport and immigration neutralization office, whatever it's called?
Yeah.
It's a headache going down to that office.
But has there ever been like a thought where you're like, it is really cool though that I got Usher's last name still? Like, have you ever used it as a flex? Because I feel like Only
time I use it as a flex is if someone's flexing on me. Like if I'm going in a restaurant, sometimes I have to make it clear, like, well, be clear what's happening here. You know what I mean? Like you thinking I'm just some random, you know what I mean? So I'll use it as needed. That's the only time.
But that is it though, Tameka. That is you defining yourself.
That's true.
By someone else.
That's true.
It says to me, I, Tameka, am not enough. And I have to let you know.
But you know how sometimes you'll go into certain establishments and they may not want to seat you, or they may want to make you wait 45 minutes when there's 3 people in the restaurant. And you're like, okay, now that doesn't make sense. So sometimes you do have to make it clear, like, how they know you.
I don't have any famous man's last name, and I make it clear for me alone.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to pull in someone else.
That's right.
It's just that I am here at an establishment. You're not doing me a favor by seating me.
That's right.
I'm spending my money in this establishment, and that's enough.
Sometimes it's enough.
Or if it's not enough, then I don't want to eat.
You don't want to eat there.
Right. So there is something about us defining ourselves. So you've had this title twice, wife and mother. Would you, Medinah, be okay if you never got that title? If you never met somebody, if you never had kids?
I would probably jump off of a bridge.
You wouldn't like
I am
it.
Definitely serious.
That's why I think we're here. I think women, see, this is the thing. I'm not, what is it when they say women are super, I'm not woman power where I don't need a man, honey. I'm myself. I define myself. No, I like having a man. I like having the strength of that. I like that title.
Because I think I like that too in men. Can we all agree that we like men?
We love men.
Yeah,
I'm
not one of those women
that
I don't need no man.
Yeah.
I don't need. Yeah, I want a man.
But we're on a spectrum, because saying I don't need a man is different from I, Tiffany, am enough, and a man can come along and compliment my life. I think what you're saying is, what I hear from you is you are not enough. It sounds to me like you're saying, I do. You literally said I would jump off a bridge if I don't meet my husband.
And then the husband you meet may make you want to jump off the bridge too. So be careful.
I hope not. I'm trying to do all the healthy things that the therapist be telling you to do.
Oh, Lord.
But I think they can both be true. Like I do love who I am without a man and with a man. I like Medinah, but I think that we were on this earth to be together with someone, to have that partnership.
Yeah.
So in my mind, the way that I think about it, since I do want those things, if I don't get to develop that type of family that I want and the relationship that I want, I would be sad. I won't really jump off of a bridge and do that, but I would have a sadness attached to me.
Are you single now?
No, well, I'm not married, but I am in a relationship.
Okay.
So I guess by the government, I'm single, but like in my
when you're not in a relationship, or if you were not in a relationship, the times where you have been single, are you happy?
I've experienced both. I've experienced like the times when it's like, dang, I really feel depressed because I'm lonely. And I wish that I had a man, but that was in my early 20s. The more that I grow and realize that in feeling like that, you can't even really attract the things or the type of man that you want if you don't develop that relationship with yourself. So are you really by yourself? Like, I get it. And it's annoying to keep saying that, but it is very important to me to pour into me how a man would pour into me, or I won't even get the type of man that I'm saying I want to develop a family with.
Right.
That's important to me. I think a lot of people skip those steps and they're just like, I just want to be married. Yeah. I'm not saying that part. I'm not just like, I just want to be married and just so I'm not alone. I want to develop a partnership, a real one. It's not just about money. It's about how you treat me, how I treat you, how you show up for me and how I show up for you. What type of father would you be? Mm-hmm. Do you save? Are you responsible? How were you and your family dynamic? Like a lot of those things, I wasn't able to see them until I got healthy and developed the relationship with self.
Yeah.
It sounds corny.
No, it
doesn't sound corny
at all.
But I will tell you to keep living, because as you get older, you will appreciate your solitude. Mm-hmm. I love just going home and having my pile of laundry on the other side of the bed, no one to tell me to put it away. Mm-hmm. So there is something to be said about really just enjoying being alone and being at peace with yourself. I wake up and I can pray out loud. No one thinks I'm crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I walk around my house saying my prayer.
Pray out loud and your husband doesn't think you're crazy. Now we pray out loud together.
Or maybe he prays with you.
Or we pray out loud together, and we still have those moments of silence.
No, I don't know. I don't think I would want to be out loud saying the kind of prayers I say by myself. Because I'm loud thanking God. Well, I wake up, thank you, God, for this day. Thank you for waking me and my children up. Thank you. You know, I pray like out loud like a grandmother.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I mean, I don't want the husband to be looking like, who are you talking to in there?
Well, so are you single now?
I am single. I'm dating, but I'm definitely single. I have no one that thinks that I'm their girlfriend, I hope. Mm-hmm.
And would you, well, if you do think you to be his boyfriend, she just told you on a cross generation.
Please wire me some trip money.
You ain't putting in enough work yet.
You ain't, right.
Would you be okay if you never got married again?
I'd be okay if I never got married again, but I would not be okay living my life alone.
Yeah.
No, because I want to have a person. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want my person that I can call at the end of the day and download my day. Or when I want to travel, hey, let's go to Italy. They're having we can get this truffle season. You know what I mean? Or I want to go and look at some fabrics from my clothing line or whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. I want my person. I don't know if I have to have that legal document that says you're married, sign here.
You want companionship.
I want just a solid companion. Mm-hmm.
I get that.
To do life with, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I desire that same thing myself. Yeah. I will say some of the loneliest moments I had in my life, I was with somebody. I was literally laying right next to somebody. I was dating a guy and I told him like a personal story about my mother and like my upbringing. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of like texting while I was talking to him. It was and I was like, this fucking asshole. You know, like I couldn't believe it. And I remember thinking I would be more fulfilled at home by myself.
That's right.
Instead of laying here next to this man. So did
you stay with him?
After that, I did, but not now. Yeah. but after that, I did. Yeah, I mean,
because you don't realize until afterward.
It's a collection of those things where you feel like, you know what, I'm with you, and I feel lonely. And I do think that there was a time in life, Medinah, where I did conflate happiness with partnership. Mm-hmm. And I think the journey I'm on now is a journey home to myself, in the sense that I'm definitely open and receptive to partnership, but the joy has to come from inside.
That's right.
And I'm learning to harness that every day. And it's really easy to say, like, you know, do you love yourself? Mm-hmm. And do you love yourself?
I am in love with this girl, smitten.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, too. I was going to say something. I say this in my book. I say how you can have this big home and all this, Swarovski crystal chandeliers and
nobody to share it with.
Well, you have someone to share it with, but if it's not the right person, it's not the right thing, you'll have a fortress of despair. Mm-hmm. You'll just be in this big old thing like, okay.
A dollhouse.
But that's why I think that some of those lonely moments that we were talking about, being lonely with someone or being lonely without somebody, like, you have to learn the lessons. That's part of doing the work.
Yeah.
To find, to attract the person. Yeah. To develop a healthy relationship and the right one. If that's what
I'll tell you this much too. If you are looking for that husband and your forever person, maybe make sure you're looking in the right places, because obviously we all like the same types of men, the affluent, the tall, we always had this description. I want him 6 feet tall. And
don't keep them tall men away from me. I'm not playing. Give me a little nigga.
They don't have to be tall for me either. I'm 5'2", so you could be 5'10" and tower over me.
That's good. Oh yeah, that's true.
So it's fine.
So you don't want tall either. How tall are you?
I'm 5'5"-ish.
So you you're good with 5'8", 5 with a guy?
I'm fine with that. I think I've got to the point now where
but with heels, I'm probably like 5'10".
So you like them tall?
But that's a problem because they're terrible. The tall guys are terrible.
Yeah, they have pretty privilege. I'm good on tall men. I had a tall man. We call him 6'8", but he did me so dirty. I can't do it.
Yeah, they'll do you dirty at any height, child.
I think this is what's interesting.
They'll jump up on the table and do you dirty, little ass.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And then you'll take them back. I was done with tall men.
What I find interesting, though, is I'm often in the company of amazing women. You two have such a testimony, Tameka.
Thank you.
You're on a journey, Medinah. I feel like there's so many things we could talk about. And no matter what group of women I'm with, the conversation does typically turn to men. And even in conflict sometimes, like when women are mad at each other, they will hurl someone's marital status at them like an
That's
insult.
why he cheating on you.
Or that's why
horrible.
you single. Or that's why you ain't got no man.
As
though
so blessed.
That's an insult, to say like, oh yeah, I'm still on this journey. Or that's why, why don't you go have some kids? Like all these things. It's like, oh, you mean all this freedom and money I get to enjoy and I don't have to spend it on kids? That's an insult,
Yeah.
But it's how people can, I guess, attribute it. And I think some of that is because of attitudes, that you have, attitudes that I had when I was younger.
Yeah.
And the way that we all define ourselves by men. Why do you think women will do that? Why will we say something? I've never said anything like that, but I've heard that insult be hurled at people. And I just wonder, why is that an insult?
Horrible.
Because I think that women you do want somebody. If you are a straight woman who dates men, you do want a man. Like at the end of the day, you're like, again, I don't think I've ever said that to anybody. I maybe have said it behind somebody's back, like this is why she don't have nobody. Because sometimes you do take a look at somebody and be like, sis.
But you're saying, why is that the insult? This is why. Is it not like, well, maybe that's why she's not happy, or maybe she's still working through some trauma. Like, it's not necessarily grace, but it's like you don't have this thing that you place such great value on.
Which we're saying the man is the value. Yeah,
I think a lot of women treat it like that, and I think that's the only reason you would say that as an insult is because you think this is a thing to get. And I think a lot of people treat relationships and marriage like it's a sorority they're trying to pledge. And it's like, haha, you didn't get here. And I don't know. I just feel like sometimes single people can romanticize marriage. Tameka, you probably get a lot of this because she's already saying you think that marriage is great.
I don't think I've ever treated it like that.
And I was married to 2 great guys, and they were
the Enigma and who else?
An enigma, child. Enigma, a whole enigma.
Oh, tell us about that enigma.
Yeah. Child. I had 2 great husbands, so we just weren't compatible, in a lot of ways, but I have no complaints about the guys. I wouldn't say they both, those were dirty dogs. They both were great, great guys, great fathers, better fathers than husbands, I'd say. And I have nothing against, so I didn't have a bad marital experience. Would I do it again? Just, I don't think it's necessary. You know what I mean? Because I think you only want it because you haven't had it.
Yeah.
Once you get it, you're going to be like, these are just regular old crackers.
Yeah.
The regular old what?
Cracker.
It's a
enigmas and crackers. That's what we talking about today.
I think that when I get it, I will be very happy. But to talk about us using this as an insult, I've never used it as an insult.
Yeah, no.
But I will say I had a situation the other day where a friend of mine was talking about a friend of hers who was married and has kids. And she was like, every time she comes around, she's always saying we and including her husband and everything and always talking about her kids. And sometimes I think that single people, and I am still a single person, have this way of you're making this a negative message when that's not even what the person is trying to make it. It's okay if we're sitting here talking about it's okay to be proud of your man and be happy about that and want to talk about him. And now because you come around your single friends and you want the person to still be that single person and you are no longer that single person because a change happens if you're trying to be better. A change happens when you become a wife. A change happens when you become a mother.
It should. A change should.
A lot of times we don't want you talking about it. We feel sorry for you. because we know he ain't shit. But
but see, and then sometimes it's like, well, you don't know my man. That might have been your man, but that's not my man. And so now you got this battle going that shouldn't even really be happening. And it's like, sometimes I feel like the single people take it as an insult just because you're talking or happy about your relationship.
Yeah,
and that's not fair.
Yeah, that's not good either.
It could be hateful.
It's like now because you're single and miserable and I have moved on, we got to sit here and talk about single and being miserable. I can't uplift you. Now you mad because I'm happy.
Yeah. I want for the folks out there watching and listening, are you happy?
Are you happy?
When you were single and not in relationship?
Mm-hmm.
And have you ever hurled this kind of insult at somebody? I think that's interesting to hear from people. How many people will be honest about sharing something like that? But I do think if you desire love, the best way is to become love.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you're just giving it out. And so if you become love, you're never throwing out that as an insult.
That's a mean insult.
That's right.
That's
but any insult, like if you become love, then you will attract love.
And you'll see it differently.
Love.
And you give different types of grace. Like I told my girlfriend that was doing that, I was like, have you ever just thought that maybe she's really happy to have found her person? I look at like you finding your life partner as that's a gift. Like that's one of the most, if not the most important, after the relationship with yourself, the most, and with God, the most important relationship that you could have. It's a business decision. It could ruin your life. There's a lot of things that are in place here. If somebody's proud of that and they think they made a good choice, let them bask in it.
Yeah,
that's true.
I agree with that.
True.
And you sitting over here stop talking about him.
Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
She's a hater.
Yeah.
She's hating on you.
Yeah. Celebrate love. Become love. Give love. Celebrate love. Yeah, I completely agree with that. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about like how we define ourselves without partnership. So I am not in a partnership. I'm not married to anybody. And I have to say this journey was hard earned, this journey home to myself that I'm still on. But I feel like I'm enough. I do desire partnership, and that is a hard balance to strike, but I am happy.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy my own company. I can keep my own company. I like to read. I like to write. I like to walk. Like I am defined by the friendships I have with men and women. I'm defined by how I treat my family, my mother, my sisters. Sitting here with you all, I often say, I love men. And I steal this from Beyonce, but there is nothing like a conversation with a woman who understands me.
Yes.
That's something a man can't give me.
Mm-hmm.
He just can't, there's something magical that happens. So I do, and I date, I go out and
Are you exuding that you want men though?
Yes. And I was going to say, it is an interesting thing that happens when you radiate happiness from inside, because then men, to me, they swarm around you. Right. They gravitate because you're not thirsty for it. They know they can't give you happiness as a challenge for them.
Right.
And I think when we start doing so much in pursuits of these men, and it's like, I met this guy, I really like him. And I've been this before. So this is no judgment. Like, I'm going to just tell y'all, I have been this before. I met this guy. I really like him. I want to do for him. That's how we are as women. We want to share. We want to love you. I want to do for you. And I had all these obligations, but I'll adjust my schedule for you because I want to accommodate you.
That's right.
And you're not feeling well. Like, I'm going to stop. I'm going to take care of you.
Right.
What I have discovered is that some men will not receive that, or they'll receive that and think, I must be pretty amazing. They don't think you're amazing. They think I must be pretty amazing.
Or they get scared like, oh God, she's trying to get married. She's trying to...
Maybe, whatever it is. But fast. I know my friend Jamel always says this, if it's one thing an enigma will find, it's the audacity. Okay? And they find the audacity to say, I'm amazing.
Yeah. One thing about them enigmas, they do love themselves for real.
Exactly.
For real.
Exactly.
The enigmas love themselves.
When you prioritize yourself and it's like, oh, I'm so sorry you're not feeling well. I hope you feel better. Or, oh, I would love to see you today, but I already made plans. Then they think you're amazing. You're so amazing that your whole world doesn't center around me. So my life has changed drastically since harnessing that happiness for myself. So I'll start with you, Medinah, because I know that you really want partnership. What defines you as an amazing woman, independent of being attached to somebody?
I'm not even going to bring up an enigma because
okay.
It's not even needed right now. I'm so happy that you asked that question because I used to not have an answer for that question. I used to always be one of those people where it's like, I don't really know. Like, I used to hate the what do you bring to the table question. I still hate it. But what I have realized about myself that brings value to just a room or people in general, I host a travel group. It's called Paradise and Vibe. And on that trip, I'm basically bringing tons of women and a couple of enigmas together to just celebrate health and all wellness and all of the angles. And I bring a level of joy and comfort to people. It doesn't matter how many followers I got on Instagram. It don't matter who I know. It doesn't matter where I'm from. It doesn't matter. None of those things matter. I try to go in rooms and not really talk about what I do. Or material things. I hate that. Even when I was dating and would go on dates with people, that you talk too much about like your career, everything else. But what's about you? What's inside? I really lead with that. When I meet somebody, I don't give about what you do for a living. Yeah. Who are you? And I treat my relationships like that. I treat myself like that. I treat my family like that. I treat friends like that. I come into a room and I make you feel like home. Mm-hmm. And that's important to me.
I love that. That's really good.
Mm-hmm. How do you do that when you're dating? When you're dating, you said you don't ask those things?
It doesn't. It's not that it never comes up. But that's not. If you lead with that, I'm probably not going to talk to you anymore. If it's led with in a way where it's like, hello. I remember one time I was in DC and the dude was like, I'm a podiatrist, and I'm not interested in that. That's how you get caught up in the wrong type of. For me, that's not the type of relationship I want. I'm not into that material stuff. That doesn't mean I want a bum dude enigma. I don't want to.
You're gonna get a bum enigma if you don't ask questions.
Well, I have an enigma right now. He ain't no bum, and
you didn't ask him nothing.
And we didn't. One of the last things that we ever talked about was what we do for a living. The conversation just flowed about real things that matter.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To me, everybody else ain't like that, but to me, it's like you lead with too much of what you got. I don't. What do you got up in here?
See, we were talking about defining ourselves as women, and the conversation shifted back to men. And like what, so
that's interesting.
I will shift to you, Tameka. How do we define this beautiful woman in green? For those listening, y'all can't see Tameka, but she's beautiful. She's wearing green. We're both wearing green today. How do we define Tameka Foster? And I'm going to say Tameka Foster.
I like it. That's right. My dad would agree. How do I define me? I think that I bring joy. I think when people are around me, they feel good and they laugh. They're going to laugh from deep from the belly, from the soles of their feet. Yeah. They're going to laugh. And I'm one that's going to I'm going to trick you into believing that you can do anything. I'm a person that has accomplished a lot. And I'm encouraging to my friends, like, you can do it. What do you mean? What do you mean you can't go to London tomorrow with me? Like, what? Because I really believe in not taking no for an answer. And I try to encourage and make my friends feel the same way about themselves and the people around me. And again, not to take it back to men, but in my dating life, the way that I try to decipher my enigmas, I do ask a lot of questions. I do ask them what they do with the majority of their time. Because I'm also older than you are. And so I'm kind of beyond the building phase of meeting a guy and we can start from brick by brick. We're going to build this together. And I need you to have your shit together.
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to have it together because I feel like I have mine together. And I'm a little too old to, in college, I think you could start.
You can fall in love with potential. In college.
And potential. You just look at him, one day he's going to make it. But, at this age, I don't really have a lot of time to be playing that kind of game. I like to travel. I like to do things. I want you to have your stuff together. And I don't want to be footing the bill for your life.
Yeah.
But I am very encouraging to anybody around me, including a man. I make them feel, my record kind of shows like when I breathe the life and speak life into their careers and whatever it is, they go to the top.
I want to get into some reality TV because we're talking about not being defined by men. And both of your TV shows, I do think kind of venture into having something to do with men.
Not kind of, definitely.
Okay. Yes. So then let's get to you because you were on Temptation Island.
I was on Temptation Island season 2. It was a reboot of an old show. So it used to not be thotty, or maybe it was with the older crowd, but it got real thotty when I graced the island.
I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of reality television.
I don't either.
And so, my producers were telling me that the premise is that you go there as a couple and then there are people who are the temptress.
Yeah.
And you were the temptress.
I was the temptress. I didn't go there in a relationship.
How did you feel about that?
I was so excited. I was like, this is going to be so much fun. Like, they're bringing couples and a group of single women and a group of single men. And then these couples get here. They separate the men, put the man that's in a relationship in a house full of single women. And then they put the woman that was in the relationship in a house full of single men and alcohol. It's wildness going on. And I already knew, like, my role there. It's like, I'm a temptress. I'm gonna be the best temptress I could be. What? I'm not here to play. Some people was there to play. I said, no.
So you were legit trying to steal somebody's man.
I didn't have to try too hard because they did want to be took.
But you were there to be the temptress. Yeah.
Yes.
And you were okay with that.
I was definitely okay with that.
Okay.
Does that show still come on?
It still comes on. I don't watch it, so I don't even know what season they're in or what day it comes on, but I do think it's still on.
Were there fights?
Temptation Island. Yes. There were fights and there were a lot of tears. But it wasn't a heavy fighting show. It was really just like, because you weren't with the girlfriends. It was like
That's because I wasn't on it. I wasn't. What you're not gonna do is
I mean, everybody had to agree to go on the show.
Yes. You knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
And then you get there and some people got there and acted like they didn't, but not me. It was fun. But I'm saying that it was fun while we were filming it. When it came out, and to watch it on TV, I was like, oh my God, I'm really a mistress and I'm good at it. Wow. How did we get here, Medinah? We have a lot of, how we were talking about self-work.
Yeah.
Let's do a little self-work. But I had a really good time doing it. It was the women brought their men there on a platter.
Do you regret anything?
No, I don't regret it at all. It was a very good time. I met amazing people and I got to see what I look like on.
Did the guy leave his girlfriend for you?
He did not. Okay. Not on the show, but he wanted to. I think that type of show.
If he wanted to, why didn't
he? How far
I'm saying he wanted
go?
to leave his girl. I'm not saying he wanted to be. He wanted to be with me, but it put a spotlight on people's relationships, just like in real life, where it's like you're in something that you don't want to be in.
Yeah.
Because why would you even come on here and tempt it? You know what I mean? So it's like he ended up cheating on her with me. And then he stayed with her and they broke up shortly after the show.
I mean, I assume you mean cheating.
Cheating?
Just a kiss. They made it look like it was sex. I was just doing a little slow.
Yeah, I was definitely doing some sex on this show.
Some people did have sex on the show, but I was like, my parents might watch this. Like, I can't go that far. But there was a lot of flirting, a lot of dates.
How did you feel though?
Touching and stuff?
Like kissing and grinding, hunching.
With somebody. Y'all hunched on the show?
We hunched on the show.
But how did you feel about doing that with somebody? I mean, you really want to be partnered yourself and you were disrupting a partner. Like you wanted this partnership so badly, you were willing to disrupt someone else's partnership.
So USA Network created this show. They wanted to disrupt somebody's relationship.
You had to. You wanted to too.
And I mean, you said I was good at being.
I'm gonna be the best.
It was a lot. It was fun. I will say, his girlfriend ended up having sex with somebody the very first night. So it's like, let's not forget, there's another woman in the picture.
No, and if she were here, I would ask her.
She has a boyfriend. She's in the house. She sleeps with somebody the first night.
But because you're here and you want to be partnered, I'm really curious how you felt about, and it's not, I promise I'm not asking this with any judgment. I really want to know your thought on, like, I want to be partnered, but I was willing to disrupt someone else's partnership to be partnered.
So again, we're looking at this in the premise of the show. It probably already did. Listen to Cocktails, Dirty Discussions. You'll hear every part of my comma, every story, because I don't leave shit out.
Okay.
But for this, it was like, okay, like you're here and this is what it's for. I don't have like a profound, like deep thought for this one. Okay. It was like this couple came and you guys are separated right now. She's in the house doing what she's doing. This is here, which it was like out of sight, out of mind, honestly. Okay. That is really how.
So no regrets.
I don't have any regrets. Not one. Okay. Not one. It's not like I knew that like a lot of the men in that house weren't even my type.
Right.
So it was what it was. It was like
it was
fun.
Entertainment.
It was fun and entertainment. And I knew this wasn't gonna be my man.
So a lot of times, you do have to give producers something. Like, you know, what shows up on camera. But what are the things that the producers behind the scenes are doing that we may not be aware of?
Oh, they are definitely wanting you to drink more. They want you to be your worst self. But I also went into it like, somebody has to be entertaining. A lot of the girls were boring. Like, it was like, let's make this spicy.
Why were they boring?
Because people were scared of what they were going to look like on TV. I wasn't really scared of that. Okay. There were some embarrassing moments, but I was never like, oh my gosh, I'm going to come here, waste a month and a half of my life and be boring. No, I'm not boring in real life. Let's give the people what they want. So a lot of that was guided by a producer. Like, you might be doing something and they would pause and be like, don't y'all want to go to the room?
Okay.
Don't you want to go to the room and have this conversation? And
I'm curious.
Very creepy.
What did these producers look like? Did they look like us, or did they look like other people?
They look like other people.
Okay.
They look like chubby other people. But I will say there was one Black woman that was on the team of producers, and she rarely ever came down to where we were filming. She stayed up on the big hill, and she came down one day. I wish I could remember her name. I appreciated her so much because my track was showing, and the white people was just letting me run around with my track showing.
Yeah.
My whole track was showing. You could see it on TV, and then somebody on the microphone was like, Medina's track is showing. All the white people were like, what is a track? So they just didn't tell me.
For our white listeners and viewers who may be watching now, a track is a hair extension, what they would call a hair.
And it is not supposed to be showing, because some of y'all's be showing too.
Exactly.
Often.
So she comes down and she was like, come here, baby girl. I go to her and she was like, you getting a lot of camera time. We can't have your track showing like this. She took out a comb. She took out a little something, a little spray, and she covered my. I was like, thank you so much. Because ain't nobody trying to be looking crazy on TV.
We need to do a deeper dive on it. I want to have a conversation about reality TV on another episode, because I think there is this conspiracy with reality TV that does not paint Black women in the best light.
And sometimes I think they do it on purpose, because even on Temptation Island, on my season, there was this blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. They wanted her to be the star of the show so badly. No hate to her. She's great. She was boring and didn't do anything, and they kept trying to like make her be the star when everyone knew I was was a big part of like making the stuff even spicy on the show. Like,
I don't like it. That's why I try not to watch.
Yeah, it was very annoying. I just used to be like, can I take the camera? Because what is y'all doing?
I hear some teeth sucking over here. So I want to go to Tameka, because you clearly have an opinion. But look, you are doing this show, Bold and Bougie.
Yes, I'm on Bold and Bougie.
Yes. And it's a reality TV show. And now you say like, oh, post-divorce is like being in jail. But you are there with a lot of the ex-wives of. So it does seem on some level that you're okay being attached in that way.
Well, the show's not about marriage or, my marriage or ex-marriage.
Do you think you would be on the show if you were not married to Usher previously?
I don't know, though. I don't know. That's a great question. Probably not. Probably not. I think that obviously I probably wouldn't be on this podcast right now.
I would. And that's not true. If you agreed to style me for free, I'd be like, "Can she come on?" Because you were you had a career.
Oh,
you were a stylist.
Yes, for sure.
So people knew you before.
Yes, they did. So that's why I don't really know. But let's see. Bold and Bougie it was a fun experience filming. Filming was fun because I'm always making a joke. I'm always busting a move, dancing, or coming up with a freestyle. Like, that's me.
Yeah.
The thing that's not the most enjoyable are the edits, because they don't give context to things you say. So, for example, if I say, I'll give you a great example. The first episode was one of my castmates was at the doctor's office because she had plastic surgery, and her boobs, she got necrosis. She developed necrosis of her boobs. She got a breast reduction, I believe. So they brought me to the office to kind of cheer her up while she was going through this reconstructive surgery and whatever. And she was consulting with the doctor. So I'm in there making her laugh, like, don't look at the needle, look at me. Don't look at I was trying to be entertaining. And then finally I sat down, and she was getting like injections in her nipples, basically to show protrusion. And I was saying, they have nipple bras now that you can get, like, Skims has a new nipple line or something. And I was like, you don't really need them. I'm like, you got a husband, you have a career, you're successful. If you don't have nipples, you don't have nipples. You know what I mean? And so I made it to make her feel better. And they made it make me sound insensitive, like, you don't need nipple. They cut all of that other stuff out. Yeah. And the only comment was, you don't need nipples, do you?
Yeah.
So then it made me look insensitive.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's part of it with reality TV. But I'm gonna tell you, my producers play me sometime with clips on this show that they put out on social media. They do clip something, and then everybody's weighing in the
and you be in the comments like, go watch the whole show. That's not all
but you know, because they want people to tune in.
Of course. So
they got to do a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
And they've got to leave. Just like last week, I can't wait till this week comes up. The friend is bisexual.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend, I know she's bisexual and whatever, it's fine. No discrimination. But they were trying to encourage me to come to a trans awareness event.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, I don't know if I'm going because I don't really have interest in that world.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean I'm against that life and whatever. That means that if I'm going to drive and take time out of my day, maybe I'll go to Bible study. Like, there's things I really want to be educated on.
Of course, yeah.
I didn't feel that it's like top priority to, go to a trans awareness event. That's just not something
they're going to have a field day with that.
They did have a field day. They're having a field day. We're actually, I'm in the middle of the field as we speak.
Well, I mean, I think though that it is, something that you are kind of still attached to your ex in that way. And when you say it's a jail, I just wonder, is it a jail that you're comfortable in?
Only because of things like this. Like if I do an interview, people bring him up.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you just talk to me regular, it doesn't matter what my name is, doesn't matter
unless
who my
they
ex
keeping
is.
you waiting at a restaurant.
Right. I'd be like, well, I remind them of how they know me.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them know me from coming, I've come with him to the restaurant. So I have to say, you know who I came here with such and such. I don't be tossing his name around like, he just performed at the Super Bowl, right?
But that is an interesting point because when you divorce and you are trying to rediscover yourself, who am I without being the wife of? Who am I in this new world?
Yeah.
Because people who go through a divorce say it is earth-shattering when you go through it.
It's hard because people choose sides. That's the main.
I was going to ask about that.
That's the hardest part. You have people who are friends with your ex and they think that they can't be cool with you.
Yeah.
Whereas when you guys were together,
we were all good friends. In the hood, yeah.
Well, you loved my cake I brought over to your house,
right.
and you loved partnering with me. But
friends,
then,
Tameka, I wonder, because it's like like you said, he performed at the Super Bowl, and that's a big event everybody watches. Are you watching the Super Bowl at that time? Like, do you have the?
I was there.
You were at the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, of course.
Do you? But I just wonder with like his Vegas, all these things that go on with him. I know for me, I have the luxury of being able to say, "You're dead to me. You don't exist to me. Like I don't know you anymore."
Well, mine
I don't
are
always
family.
have to see you in a magazine. You all have children together. He's on,
it's
the
different
Vegas
when
tour.
I think it's different when you marry someone and you have children with them because they're your family.
Yeah.
So I look at him like as my family member. I was just saying, like, you can be mad at somebody and you'll say things about your ex, but I won't let anybody else say anything about him. I'll be like,
right.
No, I'm talking about him. Hold on. I'm
so
defensive.
It's still all good in the hood.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
We ain't good, but we still good.
As good as you can be, which is all that matters. Well, I think we had a lot of conversation here.
Mm-hmm.
He was not the focal point of the conversation. You had a lot of interesting things going on in your life. You are defined, to me, you are defined as Tameka. Now, honestly, before I met you, I would think Tameka, Usher's ex-wife. That's how
they say.
But now knowing you in this beautiful, bright spirit, I just see Tameka. Medinah, I know that you really want partnership, but I'm sitting here talking to you, and I think you are perfect on your own. If I know you want a marriage and to be a mother, and I wish that for you if that's what you want. But I think you have such a warm spirit that whatever you do, I wish you well in it, and I think you can spread this joy everywhere. And to our listeners and the folks who are watching us, I just want to say, if you are a younger woman, especially looking for partnership, the most important relationship is the one that you have with yourself. So you will go on a journey. Being around the world and you will go on a journey, but the journey home to yourself is the most important one. So have those experiences, definitely go out and live. But just remember that the most important relationship that you have is the one when you close your eyes at night and you are alone with the echo of your own thoughts. Love that person, because that's who will see you through all of this. So I want to thank these beautiful women for sharing their experiences with me, being so vulnerable and talking about what it means to be defined by somebody else. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. And listen, if you love this show, please do me a favor and rate and review review the show. That's how we know. And I am one of those crazy people who reads all the comments. So if you,
Me
I
too,
will
girl.
read your rating.
Mhm.
I want to see how you feel about the show. So please be sure to do that. And we can't thank you enough for helping Across Generations become so successful in such a short amount of time. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the next episode of Across Generations.